Bonjour et bienvenue. Ça va bien, et toi? Sorry to disappoint you guys, but this is not going to be a French version of a rant because my French is probably as rusty as an old nail that's been left out in a rainstorm for a week. So, how are you guys doing? In today's rant, we're going to be covering Batman the Killing Joke, which is a cartoon movie I saw not that long ago. Different from the anime I usually watch, this is a DC cartoon movie. So, let's see how this goes. And just in case people start raising in the comments, no, I have not read the graphic novel Batman the Killing Joke. I'm only using this review to judge the cartoon movie Batman the Killing Joke. So I'm not going to compare one to the other. I'm just going to basically tell you what I thought about viewing this cartoon movie. So any comparisons are going to be like the graphic novel did this and why did the movie do that? And the graphic novel is so much more better than the movie. The movie's terrible. The movie suck. I'm only judging based off what I saw about the movie. All I know is that I like Batman and I think the Joker's an awesome villain, and I'm going into this with those expectations to see how well they flush out the Batman and the Joker story that I've heard that's inside the Killing Joke, which makes it basically a telling of the Joker's crazy backstory a little bit and Batman's like love and hate relationship with the Joker. So that's what I'm going with in this. Not any exclusive knowledge about the graphic novel or comparing the graphic novel to the movie, but just my general knowledge of Batman and the Joker and the Batman universe going into this movie. Okay, let's go ahead and get this out the way here. Did he love or did he hate Batman the Killing Joke? And I'm going to bring on the applause sound bit right here. Go ahead and bring it on. Go ahead and bring it. Yeah. Because I did like Batman the Killing Joke. I saw it the first time, and usually seeing something the first time isn't a good judge as to whether I liked it or not. Whenever I see something to review it, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be watching it time number 2. Unless it's a movie that I'm seeing and I'm going to the theaters to see it. But that's the reason why I honestly prefer to review movies that have already been out rather than going in theaters to see them, is because I can let my bias or my expectations about the movie not water down my objective opinion as well, my subjective opinion, because it's whether I liked or I didn't like the movie, but I can make it a little bit more objective by me. It's like when I'm going to compare it like this. It's like when you paint something. It's like you're up close and you're painting it. You're up close and you're painting something and it looks great, it looks beautiful up close, it looks perfect and sublime. But then when you step back and you look at it, you might notice that you missed a spot here, you might have missed a spot here, and maybe the paint brush or roller that you're using starting to run out of paint over here, so you need to put an extra coat over here. So that's the reason why I like viewing things twice, is because you can take a second take of that thing. You can take a second look at it to see whether you still like it or not. And after my second viewing of the Killing Joke, and to be honest, I kind of sometimes I had it on and I go back and I watch it every now and then. During those viewings, I find that I liked it each time. It didn't bore me. It didn't make me mad or fill me with rage or anything like that. I genuinely like the Killing Joke, so I'd give the Killing Joke a thumbs up for myself. Okay, let's go into what I liked about the Killing Joke. Let's see. What did I like about the Killing Joke? Well, to get into the storyline a little bit first, of course we know that Batman the Killing Joke is split into two. I consider the movie to be split into 2 halves. So go over the plot real quick. The first half has a story of Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl. Remember, this is a rant video, so expect spoiler. Spoiler alert. So it has Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, and she and Batman are trying to chase down this guy named Paris France, and he is someone in the mob, and he's betraying his uncle in order to like gain control of his business and his assets and basically his money. And this guy has an obsession with Batgirl, and that's half number 1. Half number 2 of the movie deals with the Joker, and of course it's the Killing Joke part of the movie about how the Joker breaks out of Arkham Asylum, of course, and he goes on a rampage, of course, and he does some crazy stuff. He basically, I'm gonna try and leave out some, even though this is a rant video, I'm gonna still try and leave out some spoilers. So basically the Joker's plan is to turn Commissioner Gordon crazy. I'm not going to go into how he tries to do that, but it involves Batgirl and some very sick antics on the Joker's part because, of course, he's a Joker, something you expect of him. And Batman is going through a crisis in the second part where Batman is trying to and wants the Joker to be cured. He wants to prove that Batman wants to prove that his way of doing things is the correct way, and he wants to in a way save the Joker. And that's the basic plot of the movie. I don't really have to go into that because honestly, most people seeing Batman the Killing Joke have an idea of what the plot of the movie is before they're going into it. And if they don't have an idea, 9 times out of 10, they're not watching this movie. You know what I'm talking about. It's really a movie made for the fans of Batman and his lore. So I'm going to stop with the plot there and go into why I like the movie. The first major thing I really liked about the movie deals with the beginning part, and that's kind of odd because I remember seeing other reviews about that's the thing people really hated about the movie was the first part. They just wanted to see the second part, the Killing Joke part, because it had something to do, it had more to do with the graphic novel than the first part. But I really liked Batgirl's inner monologue during the first part of the Killing Joke. I thought we got to dive into her character and we got to see what she's thinking, as you always get to see or hear with inner monologue. So that's something I really enjoyed about the first part. So yes, including the inner monologue with Batgirl, we really get to see her perspective and her case dealing with Paris France, and we get to see how she thinks, and we get to see her relationship with Batman develop, and develop it did. So we get to see all that working, and that's something I really liked was how, and I wish superhero movies did that more often. Instead, that's something a lot of superhero movies tend to just show the characters just kicking butt, and they also show the character like solving a case in a lot of superhero movies. And I'm talking about the cartoon movies, really, mind you. I'm talking about them, not the live action movies. A lot of the cartoon movies tend to just focus on the action, characters just doing stuff. But I really did enjoy seeing the cartoon movie delve into the character's mind, seeing some inner monologue from the character, seeing some depth. And I really want them to do that more often. That's something I really liked about the first half, which was absent from the second half. And even though Batman was reflecting and it was psychological with the relationship between him and the Joker, and how he didn't want the relationship between him and the Joker to reach that level, one of them killed the other, and I guess in a sense they become lost forever to the darkness, as if the Joker isn't already kind of lost to the darkness. But I guess you can always go deeper, right? So I can see that, and I saw that, and I wish there was more inner monologue, more inner thought from Batman, or even more inner thought from Batgirl in the second half, so they didn't kind of just leave her hanging and make her just a victim in the second half. Even if she still got shot and everything, if it still focused more from her perspective, and it still had the inner monologue and everything going from the second half, then I think people might have been a little bit more receptive about the movie. So yeah, that inner narration and that delving real deep into a character, instead of just showing them do stuff and with you diving directly into their mind, you need to do that more often, DC. You need to do that more often. And of course, continuing what I liked about the movie, I also liked the relationship in the second half between the Batman and the Joker, and how we learn why the Joker prescribes to insanity as opposed to prescribing insanity, and his philosophy behind madness and what he believes in, how this twisted character does believe in something, what drives him, considering, and that is especially something to consider when you think about his tragic backstory. Batman also had a similar backstory too that was also very tragic when that happened when Batman was much younger, and yet Batman prescribed to a hint more sanity than Joker. I guess both of them dress up in disguise and go around one beats up criminals, the other beats up and kills people, but one kills and the other doesn't. So there you go. But both are dressing up, acting all crazy. So I guess Batman prescribed to a little bit more sanity and won't go complete to the dark edge that the Joker will. So yeah, we all know this. Joker, Batman, two sides of the same coin, which is why they both make such a good villain. You have such a good hero-villain dynamic with them, and most people would of course argue one of the best villain dynamics in all of comic book lore. And we really get to see this manifest in the second half of The Killing Joke with Batman and the Joker, and their back and forth about how Batman wants to believes that Batman's continuing his thing where he wants to save lives and he wants to save the Joker, and Joker's continuing his thing when Batman, why aren't you mad? Why are you denying what you truly are? And then you have Commissioner Gordon, who's kind of like the super ego of these people that's like, Batman, no matter what he did to me, you gotta do it by the book. You gotta do it by the book. I mean, yeah, Commissioner Gordon, man, he's got some going ass of steel right there. After all that the Joker put him through, the nudity, the stabbing, the humiliation, and then seeing all those pictures and everything of his daughter. Yeah, Commissioner Gordon, you are a tough cookie, man. You're a tough cookie. Maybe you should have become like the Harvey Dent of Gotham. We've talked about what I liked about the movie. Now I guess we'll get a little bit into what I disliked about the movie, because as CinemaSins love to say, there is no movie without sin, and that includes Batman the Killing Joke. Of course, there's the obvious thing with how they made Batgirl out to be a pretty strong character in the first part. She had her own inner monologue, she had her own thoughts, and she was going through her own turmoil between Paris, France, and Batman, and between both of those two individuals, and she was going through her own struggle, and also her struggle with her relationship with Batman. And then in the second half, it's like they completely shoehorned her. It made you wonder, why did they put her in the first half to begin with? Because she got shot, she was embarrassed and everything, and it was like she really didn't have much of a part to play other than the female victim in half two. A lot of people are pissed about that, and I can see why they were pissed about that too. It's like, why'd you build her up in the first half, and then it's like you made it at first a Batgirl movie, and then the second half you made it The Killing Joke, and people wonder about the decision why they did that, and also wonder why they did that. I thought it would have been nice if they had made the first half its own separate movie. That would have been awesome, a Batgirl movie, and then they made the second half The Killing Joke movie. They made that a separate movie just about The Killing Joke, and maybe they replaced the first half of what happened with Batgirl, and they replaced that with another one of the Joker's possibilities of how he was created that I've heard about in the graphic novels. That would have been something to do, but alas, they didn't do that. We have them both in a movie, and because of that, it makes it kind of end. The second thing I didn't like about The Killing Joke, and this is kind of really a personal taste thing, and that's because I do like my psychological stuff. I love my Death Note. I love my monster anime. I also love my Ghost in the Shell. I also like Perfect Blue too. I really like that. So and I'm still set up to watch Serial Experiments Lane, so I do like my psychological stuff. But when I watch a comic book movie though, I'm partly watching it for my own personal taste to see some action. I want to see some butt kicking, I want to see some throwing down. And because this was a more Batman Joker movie, this movie was more psychological based. It was more, and it wasn't action based. So we did have a lot of action in there with Batman fighting against thugs and everything, but of course we know he's Batman. The only way he's gonna lose or have a tough time with these thugs is if they like psychologically outplay him, and we know they're not, especially in the first half. And Batgirl, with Batgirl that was a little bit of an issue what was going to happen with her, but we knew Batman was okay. The second half we had the thing about the Joker trying to out psychologically play Batman, and there you go with that. And so so you didn't have any action-based supervillains up in here. No Ra's al Ghul, no Deathstroke, no one like Clayface or Solomon Grundy or anything like that, or even no one like that. So there wasn't a lot of crazy action or any like super powered henchmen for Batman to go against and Batman to outdo. So that didn't make the movie bad. That was just a personal taste thing I was looking forward to in the movie, to seeing maybe him fight against one really good villain that the Joker had brainwashed or something like that. But instead Batman kind of curb stomped everyone in the movie except for, of course, the Joker, because the Joker can get in your head and distract you while he's pummeling you, and then when you finally get your senses together, hopefully you can get your senses together, then you can fight him back. That's how the Joker does things. And so that was something. I wanted more action in my comic book movie like I seen in previous Batman movies and previous DC movies, but I didn't get that. So that's number two, more personal thing that I didn't like about Batman and Killing Joke. And that essentially ends my thoughts on Batman and Killing Joke regarding what I liked about the movie and what I disliked about the movie and what I believe they could improve upon in the movie. I would recommend, of course, anyone that's really into the Batman lore to watch the movie. Even though, just like if you're a Harry Potter fan or a Hunger Games fan or any fan that's used to watching or used to reading a book and then you see the movie adaptation, of course expect this to be different than the graphic novel. You gotta expect that. They're not going to do an exact adaptation. It will be awesome, but there's a 9.8 out of 10 chance they're not going to do an exact adaptation. They're going to leave something out, or they're going to include something you don't like, or they're going to do something completely crazy. So you can take and roll with that this is a movie for the people that love like the Batman lore and want to see a very good Batman Joker story. Then I believe you'll enjoy this. Most people probably cringe at the first half and how it has almost nothing to do with the second half. But if you want to see some psychological stuff, and you just appreciate like stuff that delves into the personality of the character, so you can learn more about that character, then you'll appreciate the first half for that, because the way they delved into Batgirl was a little bit absent from the way they did the second half. The second half was psychological, but I believe it was more action based and more show and tell than it was delve deep and tell, unlike the first half. So that's my genuine opinion on Batman and Killing Joke. And of course, I gotta put a bit of personal flair into this. So I'm about to get into a little theory I have as to the possible significance for the first half of the movie. Something that I looked at that I haven't seen a lot of people point out. It could be wrong, but it's something that I was thinking about a little bit. Paris France. What do we know about Paris France? Paris France, he's arrogant. As Batman described him, he's arrogant and he's a sociopath and he loves playing with his victim. Mind you, can tell that he's a little bratty. He seems to be overly obsessed with his family and his family's money and everything, getting his hands on that. So you can tell the guy's kind of a brat, but he definitely, that sociopath, that sociopathic behavior, that arrogance, and that loving to play with his victims, who does that remind you of? Does that remind you a little bit of the Joker and how the Joker kind of is? My belief on the first half of the movie is that it was showing something that did allude to a bit strongly to what happened in the second half. That, to me, the first half showed how Paris Franz was, in a way, Batgirl's Joker. How he was that person who he had basically the Joker. Now, he wasn't on the Joker's level, not even close. I'm not saying Paris Franz was the Joker, because the man was a joke compared to the Joker. Of course, because the guy was a brat. But his play with Batgirl was very similar when you think about it to the play Batman has with the Joker. And remember how Batman was telling her how you can't let it get personal, you can't let this guy keep playing with you. And that's what's happened with Batman and Joker when you think about it. With Batman and Joker, it's become something further than just a hero and a villain going against each other and Batman just trying to put the Joker away. The Batman feels that the Joker symbolizes something to him, that the Joker is more of a symbol to him than just another villain. And Batman has let it got personal, just like the Joker has made things personal with Batman. So my theory on the beginning with the relationship between Batgirl and Paris Franz was to show that hero-villain relationship was an allusion to the situation that Batman has allowed to evolve with the Joker and what Batman doesn't want for Batgirl. He doesn't want Batgirl to be taken to the point he has been taken with the Joker, where he's met a villain and he's let things get real personal with that villain. Not only has he let the villain get real personal with him, but he has become real personal with that villain, and the villain symbolizes something greater to him than just being a villain. And that has taken him close to the abyss, where he's now contemplating whether to save himself from going to the darkness, on whether he is going to have to kill the Joker and go over that abyss in order to finally end this like interplay that they have, where the Batman constantly is calling his loop, where he has to save where he fights the Joker gets out, and then Batman keeps throwing the Joker back in, but the Joker keeps on getting out, committing these atrocities, and Batman won't completely put away the Joker, because not only because of his own beliefs, but also because the Joker symbolizes something. He's let it get personal, or Joker symbolizes someone he has to save, something within himself he has to save. But the difference here is that, then the significant difference, people might get mad about this, I don't see how they could, but I'm going to say this. The difference is that Batgirl is a woman, while Batman is a man. So the thing about it is that interplay I saw between Batgirl and Paris Franz, I saw like how they were joking with each other, and how Batgirl was saying he's not my boyfriend and stuff like that. That kind of remind me of the interplay you'd find between a prison guard and a prison inmate. Really, a female prison guard and a prison inmate. Kind of like the same thing we saw kind of happen with Harley Quinn. She was a doctor, of course, I know this. Harley Quinn and the Joker being her patient. Kind of like that in a play. How they kept on interplaying on each other, and Harley Quinn was generally trying to save, was trying to work with the Joker, but in the end she got sucked in. She ended up becoming his woman. And I could have honestly, even though Paris Franz as a poor man's Joker, if Batman didn't get in the way, I have to say, if Batgirl didn't sleep with Batman in this movie, and if Batgirl didn't have a love interest for Batman, and if Batman had completely pushed away, I could have very well saw Batgirl getting with Paris Franz and kind of finally falling for the man because of that interplay they were having. I could have saw that happening. This is debatable, but I could have seen it. So instead of Batgirl completely going over the edge like Batman is, she got close. I mean, Batgirl we saw that she doesn't have that discipline that Batman has, because she was basically about to beat Paris France to death because of everything that happened. She was about to go over that edge because of her feelings because of what was going on with Paris and her feelings for Batman, and I would argue her possible feelings for Paris too, and how Batman wedged in between that, and she ended up going to the Batman side instead of the Paris side. It's kind of a confusing psychological mess going on here, but basically that's how I believe things played out, and that Batman wasn't there to intervene. That Batgirl could have developed this love-hate relationship with Paris France, and I believe she could have fallen for the guy just like Harley Quinn fell for the Joker, because Paris France and the Joker seem to have such similar personality profiles. The only difference is that Paris France was a brat, and he didn't have something as tragic as the Joker to drive them over the edge to give him that supervillain insanity. But yeah, getting back to the point I was trying to make here is that Batgirl eventually, she was about to beat Paris France to death, and she was almost driven to that edge, and she quit because of that. So yeah, that was the show. Batgirl and her relationship with Paris France was basically an allusion to Batman's relationship with the Joker, and it probably showed the early stages of that relationship in a different form, and how Batgirl in the end, instead of constantly going like Batman did, she ended up quitting, and she ended up like going elsewhere, as opposed to Batman, who stuck it out. So that's what I think was the significance of the first part. I thought that, again, they could have done better by making it its own movie and taking out the Joker part, and would have been more interesting. But that's the significance I see with the first part of The Killing Joke. So that is the end to my rant on Batman and Killing Joke. Why I liked it, why I disliked it, and a little bit of a theory in order to tease your brains with. So if you like what you saw here today, of course, click that like button, click that subscribe button to see more of what we're going to have here for Mr. Reviews. And thank you for taking the time to look at our review today, and have a good day. Bye.